All right, so we're going to jump into our three-pack, Todd, and I want to talk about appointments, setting the appointment. That is the name of the game, is to set appointments. And oftentimes, as we always joke, when you go to real estate school, they don't teach you anything about actually doing real estate. We don't do a lot of training in sales. There's a lot of things that we're exposed to every day that we just don't have training. We don't have specific training on how to negotiate. We don't have specific training on closing skills, and we don't have specific training on actually setting the appointment. We get a lot of training on contract writing and things like that, which are important, but there's so many aspects to our business. So I want to talk about today about setting the appointment. It is a mindset. I walk into every encounter, and you should walk into every encounter, whether it's at an open house, whether it's at a happy hour, no matter where you're at, when you're having a real estate conversation with somebody, you should enter that encounter with the intent of walking away with an appointment, not just hoping that they call you back. But my mindset is when I meet somebody, before this conversation ends, I'm going to try to set the appointment. And obviously, the math is there, the numbers don't lie. The more appointments that you have, the higher your conversion rate will be. It is simple. There is something about having that second meeting, about meeting with them in person, whether it's in the office or their home, because many of your colleagues, many agents aren't getting that opportunity. So simply make setting the appointment your goal. When I encounter someone, I'm making that my goal. Goals are powerful, right? We should all have goals. My goal in every encounter, again, is to set that appointment. And then during the conversation, and this is how my brain works. When I'm meeting with somebody and I'm talking with somebody, I'm asking myself, why would they meet me? What are the things that they're saying, the 70-30 rule, 70% let them talk. What are the things that they are saying? What are their problems? What are their pain points? What are their goals? Or whatever the case is? What in that conversation is going to make them want to meet me? What type of solution am I going to be able to bring to the table?
Absolutely. And that's really, I like the mind matter behind this, because if you think you can't, you won't. If you think you will, you might. But if you envision, Clint did this to me a few times, our CEO. He said to me, so, he says, you've really thought about this? I'm like, yeah, I can picture myself there. And he goes, okay, what kind of weather is it? What's the smell in the room?
Burgers and beer.
Look outside. I mean, what are the things? If you're really not creating that environment around you that you can taste almost and smell the wind. You're not, let me rephrase that just a little bit. Having the ability to have put yourself into that position, having been able to smell and see and touch your senses will catalyze it. It's like a catalyst for your success. It almost magnetically brings you to the objective you've set for yourself.
Well, I think, again, as we've talked about all the time, being an entrepreneur, step one is having the right mindset. The mindset at every opportunity that you have should be setting an appointment, because that converts into business. If your goal is to set an appointment, you're going to speak to that person like a long-term relationship, not someone that you're going to have a quick conversation with and then never talk or think about again. And the last point, during the conversation, find the why they would meet with me.
Part.
That's called listening, and that is something that we don't do.
What'd you say?
Correct. We don't do very much in our current world. We don't listen to the person. We ask a question, and then we think about how we're going to respond to whatever they're going to say, no matter what they say, and we miss all of those points about how we then set the appointment.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Smith. Nice to meet you. What's your name? Bill.
Gone.
Wait a minute. What's your name?
What's up, John?
And for me, I always think of, I think at the end of the day, we're obviously real estate salespeople. Real estate salesperson is on our license. Mm-hmm. But I always consider myself a real estate problem solver. And that is what we do. We help people solve their real estate problems or goals, whatever you want to call that. And we have to understand what those problems are. And you will be amazed on how much easier it is to set an appointment when you simply ask the right questions, and listen. People appreciate the fact that you are listening, and it goes a long ways.
So, Mike, I recently talked to a couple of potential buyers out there doing open houses, and a couple of comments really shocked me. When they walked in, the person sitting at the open house never acknowledged their existence,
I know.
didn't put their phone down, and even say, hello, welcome to the open house. What are you doing there? What was the purpose?
Yeah.
I was amazed, and I was thankful they weren't West USA agents that were sitting in those open houses.
All right. We talk about this all the time. Collect data. Names, phone numbers, and emails are a premium in our business. If I'm going to set the appointment, I've got to know who I'm setting the appointment with. I've got to know how to get a hold of them. Their phone number to me is getting the phone number is top priority. I don't need anything else, because if I get the phone number, I can forewarn them and get their name, and I can get their address. And I know, obviously, I shoot to get their email. But if I can't get their email, I'd rather at least get their phone number, because people open up, they'll answer the phone, or they'll respond to text messages more than they'll do emails. But you do want the email. So for me, as I know that I do not want to end this encounter without collecting their name, phone number, and email, I'm always constantly focusing on my toolbox. And the biggest tools for this for me are the mobile app and my iFound Agent website, and then of course the MLS search portal if you're talking with a buyer. But through that conversation and through my problem solving identification process, I'm trying to figure out what tool do I have that is going to work for them and be the best tool for them, but they can't use the tool. I can't share that tool without getting that information from them. And one of the things that we do, especially with their mobile app, or I'm not and we'll talk about the next one. I'm not a big, well, it's right here. I'll just say this. It's almost a guarantee they won't contact you.
Yeah, exactly.
If all you
Totally.
do is hand your business card. So
Yep.
there's always that point in a conversation where it would be time to exchange business cards. And if someone asks me for my business cards, I always say, well, actually, I don't carry business cards because business cards always get thrown away. And one of the strategies that we use, we just pick up our phone, open it up, go to contacts, hit new contact, and we are constantly handing our phone to the other person, allowing them to put their name and phone number in there. And then immediately I will text them my information, and I know if they didn't get the text, I know that I didn't have the right phone number.
If you don't have systems, that's what this really boils down to right here. You have two ways. You can try to convince everybody who walks through the door of the open house, or everybody that's out there that might say they're interested in buying or selling. You can try to convince them right on the spot, but most of the time that doesn't work. And so you need to get valuable ways to communicate back with those people. But the more of a momentum or a moment that you create with them trying to collect it, the more all of their senses are up. Oh, why? No, I don't want to give you my email. But if you can navigate into those things as just part of the process, part of your system, then you can take your mind away from trying to drag their information out of them and focus on the things, to the first point. Stop to be able to listen. Well, if you're constantly trying to get something from them, you're not listening at all. So in this particular case, if you build the system in so that you have that phone available and you can implement it where you're handing it to them. You're engaging them in the process of giving it to you. You're not just asking and getting a no. When you hand them the phone, it's almost like they look at it like, oh, crap, now I got to fill it out.
Yeah.
Well, I think, the goal is to get them to want to give them
Exactly.
your phone number, because you went in with the mindset of being a problem solver for them. You are trying to help address an issue, a concern, something that's happening in their world. And after that conversation, however long it is, they want to work with you again, and they want to have a second conversation with you. And so that's where that system comes into play. I think it's really scary for a lot of brand new licensees to set that appointment, because oh my goodness, I've got it now, I don't know what to do with it. So having the systems in place first, having the mobile apps, the website, knowing how those things work, and then as you go and have those bigger conversations, they're not as scary because you already have everything figured out. You're just asking questions.
I love it.
Yeah, if I'm doing an open house and I have 20 people come through the open house, and I would argue that I would be better off to have collected the names, phone numbers, and emails of 2 of those parties as opposed to just handing out 20
yeah.
business cards
100%.
and flyers.
Yep.
All right, 3, don't be timid. Just you got to ask
do
for
it.
it. When I played baseball in college, I had a coach always said, you never receive unless you ask. Okay? Ask for the appointment and be direct and ask for that appointments before you wrap up. Before this conversation ends, set that appointment. And I always give options and avoid yes and no options. Would you like to get together and talk more about this? No. No. Okay. Humans, we take the path of least resistance. If you give someone the opportunity to say no, no. So we always give options. Okay, would tomorrow at 3 or Wednesday at 4, which one would be best for you? Now, they still may not meet with you, but make it as difficult as possible for them to say no. And ask yourself, back to your point, Todd, agents might be hesitant about doing it. What is the worst thing? What's the worst thing that can happen?
I was just thinking that.
Right? The worst
exact
thing is
phrase.
they say no.
Yeah.
The worst thing is they don't show up. But you'll never have the appointment. You will never have the appointment unless you ask. And I always joke with with my family. Guys are better off at this than women, and I'll tell you why. Because we are the ones that have always, from the time that we started asking out girls, we're the ones that had to ask out girls. And it's just the effort and the emotional toll that takes on a young boy to ask a girl out for the first time. And that's to tell my boys, what is the worst thing that can happen? And so ask yourself that, set the appointment, send a calendar invite, and make sure to, I don't know. I didn't finish that.
I was really excited to hit that last point.
Yeah, make sure that the dance doesn't end and you've forgotten to ask for a dance.
I think it was make sure to follow up.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Think about it. Even way back in grade school, when we went to our very first dance at school, when you're in those environments, the girls line one wall, the boys line the other wall, and this may be, a difficult visual for some people to attend if you've never, or to attach to if you've never done it. But the fact is that, and then all your friends made you feel like something was wrong with you if you didn't go across and ask somebody. But to your point, Mike, what was the worst thing that potentially could have happened? One of the girls said no. But I also am going to preface it with this. If you waited to get to the dance, to want to dance with a girl that you thought you wanted to dance with, it's too late. You should have started that process before the dance, before the day of the dance. And it's just one of those scenarios that we can either be put in the moment where we have to react and we become the bull in the china shop, or we can strategize to get to where we want to go and almost with efficiencies and systems have it land in our lap.
Yeah, and so Nick, on our team, we have some of our agents participating. We have a little accountability thing going, and it's each week they say these are how many phone calls I'm going to make, and they have a goal out of X amount of phone calls. I want to set X amount of appointments, and then from X amount of appointments, they go on the appointments and they write contracts. And the agents that are actually doing it, we are seeing an incredible uptick in their conversion rate because they're actually having conversations and they're not letting that phone conversation end without trying to set that appointment. Now they're busy on appointments. I got one agent, she goes, now I don't have time to make calls because I'm on all these appointments.
What a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And that's, the thing that's out right now on social media is what's the hard? Not having any business is hard. Calling and having too much business is hard. Pick which one you want. But I think the thing I wanted to talk about, Mikey, is what you guys do on the recon team, and some of our other teams have done it. It's role play. If you've never gone through this scenario before, you have to desensitize yourself from being terrified of being told no, and object rejection comes with experience and being able to walk through what that person is saying to you in a sales type good way. You can't do that unless you're actually role playing. And so that would be the one thing. And then my last thing for this is the great Michael Scott quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. No.
Well, and the options, it's so important to say, which do you prefer, phone, in person, or Zoom? So many people got used to the Zoom thing
Yeah.
during COVID. They're comfortable with that. even though it's still face to face, in their minds, it's really not. And you can get a lot more appointments if you ask which one is your preference, those three, and they pick.
Yeah.
And they will
I like that.
pick.
Yep, and I just did this yesterday. I had one of my ambassadors introduce me, send me a referral to a family looking at buying a $600,000 home, and just immediately, hey, great to meet you. Today at 2, which I really didn't want to do it because I was watching some football, or just tomorrow at 11 work. That's what I was kind of leaning towards, and they were like, yeah, today at 2. Boom, by the end of that, we're got an appointment to go look at homes, and they're talking with the lender. So I didn't give them that yes or no option.
Yep.
Right.